This man has done it all. He played for a college football powerhouse, became a #1 overall pick at age 30, got drafted by his hometown team, got stiffed by one of football's greatest villains, usurped a Hall of Famer, won a Super Bowl, led the league in passing yards, retired as the greatest quarterback in one team's history, and had one all-time season that rivals Hall of Fame campaigns that nobody ever talks about. Not bad for an insurance salesman. This is the story of Steve Beuerlein, the greatest one-hit wonder in NFL history. Hey, if you're watching this, chances are you have a face. And just like you, I have let my face go to this winter. That's why I want to talk to you about legit my two favorite products from Manscaped, the Beard Hedger Beard Trimmer and the Handyman Compact Face Shaver. Let's start with the beard trimmer. The titanium-coated stainless steel T-blade effortlessly guides through your facial hair. Look at it! I love the built-in zoom wheel, which has 20 different lengths, which is crucial for me to maintain that close-cut goodness. The battery also lasts for freaking ever, it seems, up to 60 minutes of runtime. Now, for cleanup, the Handyman has you covered. Its foil blade gets you clean cut down to the skin, and its ergonomic design lets you shape that face up. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but I look good. It also has 60 minutes of runtime and a battery indicator. Both these bad boys are waterproof too. So, after this video, stop looking like ass and head on over to manscaped.com/5-points and get 20% off the Beard Hedger and the Handyman plus free international shipping. Again, that's manscaped.com/5-points for 20% off the Beard Hedger and the Handyman plus free international shipping. Even though I think that phrase is dumb as shit, it perfectly describes Hollywood, where Steve Beuerlein was born in 1965. Beuerlein was a star athlete, though, where he excelled at football nearby at Servite High in Anaheim. In the first game of Beuerlein's senior season, Servite lost. But he didn't. Even though his team fell by 2 touchdowns, he caught the eye of Notre Dame head coach Jerry Faust. Beuerlein packed his bags for South Bend, where he played in 42 games from 1983 through 1986. But his senior year was something of a turning point. Faust had resigned, and Lou Holtz was the new head man at Notre Dame, and Beuerlein beat his hometown school, the USC Trojans, with 3 touchdown passes in the second half of his final collegiate game. A star was born. 19 quarterbacks were selected in the 1987 NFL Draft. You might recognize a few names like Vinny Testaverde, Jim Harbaugh, and Rich Gannon. Other names like Mark Vlasic, Doug Hudson, and Sammy Garza probably don't ring a bell. Beuerlein was the 8th quarterback off the board, selected in the 4th round, and he was going home, joining the LA Raiders. His rookie season ended before it even started, going down for the year in the preseason. With Tom Flores out, in stepped a first-time head coach, 36-year-old Mike Shanahan. A quarterback's dream. Not. I also completely forgot that Mike Shanahan was the head coach of the LA Raiders. So did you. In the 1988 season opener against the San Diego Chargers, Beuerlein started and secured a 24-13 victory. That early success didn't last. Subsequently, he was replaced by the more seasoned Jay Schroeder, acquired from the Washington Redskins. Did I say Redskins? Just one day before the season opener. The next 2 years were a game of back and forth both at coach and at quarterback. Shanahan was fired, Art Shell was hired, and Beuerlein and Schroeder played a game of musical chairs at QB, while the Raiders finished 15-17 over 2 years. Entering the 1990 season, Beuerlein was the lowest paid starting QB in the league at $140,000. Or the same amount that Russell Wilson makes every time he takes a shit while playing football.
I am ready to get fucking pumped for Russell Wilson. We are ready, bitch.
Not knowing the internal wrath and pettiness of the man who owned the Raiders, Beuerlein decided to hold out. Despite eventually signing before the season began, the holdout thoroughly displeased Al Davis, who prohibited the coaching staff from playing Beuerlein. Classic Al Davis. Schroeder was reinstated as the starting quarterback with Vince Evans at the backup, and Beuerlein remained inactive for every game. To add to his frustration, the Raiders finished the season with a stellar 12-4 record and reached the AFC title game. If you look at Beuerlein's Pro Football Reference page for 1990, it simply says missed season, contract dispute. Needless to say, his days with the Raiders were over. Goodbye, LA. Welcome to America's team. Shortly before the start of the 1991 season, the Raiders traded Beuerlein to the Dallas Cowboys, who were seeking a backup for Troy Aikman. The move would pay off when Aikman suffered a knee injury in Week 13 against Washington. Beuerlein stepped in cold, delivering a fourth-quarter touchdown pass to Michael Irvin and a three-point victory, breaking Washington's 11-game win streak in their home stadium. Beuerlein went on to start the remaining 4 games of the regular season, earning victories in all 4, leading the Cowboys to an 11-5 record, their best since the 1983 season under Tom Landry. The stunt-cock performance earned them a playoff berth. Despite Aikman's knee being healthy enough to start the first playoff game against the Chicago Bears, Jimmy Johnson opted to stick with Beuerlein, a decision that left Aikman pissed off, to say bluntly. Beuerlein threw for 180 yards with a touchdown and no interceptions, leading the Cowboys to a 17-13 win at Soldier Field, the Cowboys' first road playoff win in over a decade. A week later, Beuerlein started but was eventually replaced by Aikman, leading to a loss that concluded their playoff run as the Cowboys were defeated by the Detroit Lions in a bizarro world that happened in 1991. In 1992, with Aikman in excellent health having his breakout season, Beuerlein played sparingly but managed to somehow appear in all 16 regular season games because they were kicking the shit out of pretty much everyone. As the Cowboys marched through the NFC and straight to Super Bowl 27, Beuerlein came into their matchup against Buffalo with 7:06 left on the clock. Cue the dramatic music. Unfortunately, on his final play as one of dem boys, Beuerlein fumbled the ball. It was a good thing the Cowboys had a 35-point lead. Ring captured. Following his time in Dallas, the desired QB ultimately signed a 3-year, $7.5 million deal with the Phoenix Cardinals. After a 2-6 start to the season, Beuerlein faced a brief benching in favor of Chris Chandler, but reclaimed the starting position after 2 games. He guided the Cardinals to victories in 4 of their last 5 games, notably achieving a career high of 431 passing yards and 3 touchdowns in a 30-27 overtime win against Seattle. Beuerlein was productive, but his run as a steady producer would be coming to an end. The Arizona Cardinals, now under the leadership of the notoriously stable Buddy Ryan as both head coach and GM in 1994, had a rocky start with an 0-2 record, leading to another Beuerlein benching. Ryan publicly criticized Steve, dubbing him one of the worst quarterbacks he had ever seen, and labeled him a cancer that needed to be cut out. Amid a revolving door of quarterbacks, Beuerlein had a 3-4 record as a starter, yet Ryan singled him out as the scapegoat for the team's mediocrity, where they finished the season at 8-8. Way to go, buddy. Ryan thought so little of Beuerlein, he left him exposed in the expansion draft of 1995, essentially cutting him. The brand spanking new Jacksonville Jaguars selected him as the #1 overall pick. You see what I did there? Pretty good endorsement for cancer. The 30-year-old Beuerlein started the initial 2 games in Jags history before sustaining a right MCL sprain against the Bengals. Despite returning to full health 2 weeks later, backup Mark Brunell retained the starting position. With a confrontational relationship reportedly existing between Beuerlein and super easygoing head coach Tom Coughlin, he finished the season as the 3rd quarterback behind Rob Johnson. Beuerlein was a free agent once again. Since Jacksonville didn't work out, it was time to try the other expansion team. In 1996, the Carolina Panthers secured Steve Beuerlein with a 3-year contract ahead of the season, designating him as the backup to 2nd-year quarterback Kerry Collins. For the next 2 years, Beuerlein and Collins flip-flop back and forth, neither able to keep a firm grasp on the starting job. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But Steve was about to get his chance. As the century came to a close, Beuerlein secured the starting job over newly acquired Jeff Lewis in 1999. And he was spectacular. A franchise record 373 passing yards against Green Bay, a team record 5 touchdown passes in the final week against the Saints, and a league-leading 4,436 yards and 36 touchdowns. Despite Beuerlein's stellar individual performance, the Panthers missed the playoffs due to tiebreaker rules. Had the Panthers snuck into the playoffs and had a guy named Kurt Warner not existed, Beuerlein would have been the top story of 1999. Hell, he might have been the most random MVP of all time, besides Mark Mosley. It proved to be a flash in the pan. Beuerlein couldn't repeat his performance in the new millennium, enduring a league-leading 62 sacks and a career-high 18 interceptions in 2000. Not long after, Panthers head coach George Seifert cut ties with the greatest quarterback in Panthers history. At the time, all 6 years of it. From here, Beuerlein followed his journeyman arch. In 2001, he joined the Denver Broncos, reuniting with Mike Shanahan, and he missed the entire season due to injury. He played briefly in 2003, however, his season ended abruptly when he fractured his finger. He might have been able to return, but Shanahan placed the elder statesman on IR, ending his season and his career. In July 2004, Beuerlein signed a one-day contract with the Panthers, retiring as a member of the team where he had played the best ball of his 17-year career and had that one magical season. When he stepped away, he said this to Peter King: "Hey, I've been in the wrong place at the wrong time a lot, but I was a 4th-round pick to last 15, 16, 17 years in the league. What can I complain about? I've lived the dream a long time. The only thing I'd change is how it ended. Wouldn't we all, Steve?"